Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, I actually get to talk about something cool and exciting. Which probably means this video will get all of 5 views. Eli, why don't you ever talk about happy topics? Because you disgusting bastards never want to hear about happy topics. That's not my fault. Anyways, I think this is really interesting. This is coming from Cisco itself, Cisco's blogs, introducing Antares, highly efficient open weight AI models for vulnerability localization. This is some just snail crap cool stuff. This makes me excited. This is up there with like SQLite as far as I am concerned. So why am I so excited about this? The big thing I've been talking about in the world of artificial intelligence for a long time is that AGI is just goddamn stupid. Just dumb. It is a dumb concept. What are we talking about with AGI? AGI is artificial general intelligence. Basically the concept of recreating a human being, right? An AI that can drive a car, it can fly a plane, it can take care of a baby, it can create poetry, sing a song, bake a cake, all of this different stuff, right? And the thing is for AGI is it just requires a lot. So much. It requires money, it requires information, it requires a tremendous amount of resources, and then at the end of the day, what do you actually get? As I've talked about before, do I need my autonomous car to be able to bake a cake? No, the answer is no, right? Do I need my AI microwave to be able to come up with a brand new Shakespearean sonnet? No, I need to be able to put some food in the microwave and say, hey, I'm having people show up in an hour, cook. That's what I need to have happen, right? I don't need artificial general intelligence. But one of the psychoses that's going on with this whole AI fraud that we've been going through for the past number of years is that these AI companies have been consuming more and more and more resources and putting themselves into ever more vulnerable positions by trying to create this AGI, again, with the frontier models and all the stuff that they're pushing. The idea of one model that can do everything, which is just, again, it's just asininely stupid. It's one of the things I've been pushing, the concept I've been arguing for a long time, is the concept of small language models, or really small models. And so when we talk about these large models get trained on just a tremendous number of parameters, right? I think Kimi K3, the new open source model from China, was it like 2.8 trillion parameters? And once it's 2.8 trillion parameters, you need a lot of RAM. You need a lot of resources to run one of these things. Think about this, right? So I have this M5 MacBook Pro. It's an M5 MacBook Pro, 128 gigs of RAM. I bought it before the AI insanity increased the price. But think about it. So with that, I can run a 120 billion parameter model relatively well at about 70 tokens per second. But that's the thing that you run into, is that the larger the model is, the more resources it takes to be able to run. So as we see in the world of technology, right, the more generalist a technology is, or a product is, whether it's a CPU or whether it's a model, the more generalist, the more things it can do, the more poorly it will do those things, and you'll lose out in resources. So that's where you think about like ASICs chips. So ASICs chips are chips that are designed specifically to do one task, right? So if you buy an Intel CPU, can do almost anything. It can encode videos, it can do AI, you can watch videos, you can type up a letter, you can use it for a voice over IP telephone system, right? You buy an Intel chip, it can do almost anything, adequately. So you're gonna spend a lot of money and you're gonna get adequate performance out of it. Or if you use an ASICs chip, right? The ASICs chip is generally gonna be less expensive than an Intel processor, but it's going to be designed to do one specific task incredibly well. So we think about this with the new frozen processors coming out of Google. So Google has these new processors, they're called Frozen, and the idea is they've actually burned a lot of the inference instruction sets directly onto the chips themselves. Basically, these chips will only be able to run the Gemini model. You can't use them to watch YouTube, you can't use them to play video games, you can't use them to do anything. They will only run the Gemini model. But for that, they get like a 6 to 10x performance and efficiency gain. Right? Because again, They're designed to do one task incredibly well. And so that's the interesting thing when you start thinking about small models in the AI world, is you have models that are trained to do one task incredibly well. I think about this with Fidelity. I think it was Fidelity, one of these financial companies, where they came up with a really small model. They came up with a 350 million parameter model. All it was used for was to analyze financial documentation. Right? You don't need to ask their model about how to make lasagna. You don't need their model to drive your car. What happens is financial information goes into the model, it processes it, and basically flags things that you should be made aware of. Right? So basically Fidelity had a tremendous number of financial documents. They trained on and that's the other thing to think about. Not only did they train on industry specific data set, they actually trained on their data set. So out of that, they were able to get an incredibly small model that was incredibly performative to do specific tasks of analyzing financial documentation. And so that's what's interesting here with Cisco. Basically what Cisco has done is they've created an incredibly small model, 350 million. There's a couple of different versions. So 350 million to 1 billion parameter model, incredibly small model that only looks for things like security vulnerabilities. And I think that is awesome, right? Instead of Mythos 5, right? We hear about, is it Mythos? Yeah, Mythos 5. Mythos 5, more dangerous than 20 nuclear weapons, apparently. And you burn down an entire forest just to get it to do one query, right? Instead of doing that, what if you just create a really, really small model to specifically look at your code base? Look at the actual warnings and alerts and everything that are out there. Look at your code base to see if your code base relates to any of those warnings. If it does, flag you about the problems in your code base. Hey, that sounds like, and again, this is one of the things I talk about with technology. This is one of the things I talk about the whole AI world. Nobody buys a fucking neural network. Nobody buys a fucking vector database. What do they buy? They buy solutions, right? They don't even really buy products. They buy solutions. The product offers the solution. I have zero interest in buying a frontier model. I also have zero interest in buying a small language model. What do I have an interest in? Hey, we have a code base, right? Issues are being found every day about, code, in the coding world or whatever else. I would like something that analyzes my code base on a regular occurrence and flags me about potential problems. That's the thing. What is my problem? I know there are problems in my code base that I am not aware exist. What is the solution? I need a tool that will be able to be updated and be able to run on a regular occurrence to flag possible problems for me. Right? That is a solution. That's what people buy. And that is why OpenAI AI being worth $1 trillion is a joke. But anyways. Oh, let's see. Let's take a look at this. Cisco's blog. Today, Cisco is introducing Antares, a family of security small language models purpose-built for one of the hardest, most time-consuming, and expensive problems in security, pinpointing where known vulnerabilities exist within a code base. And so that's one of the interesting things with this too, is not trying to find new and novel vulnerabilities, is literally just simply trying to find the known ones. We know these vulnerabilities exist. We just don't know if they're in our code base or not. We are releasing two of these models, Antares 350 million and Antares 1 billion as open weight models now available to the broader community on Hugging Face. Benchmark testing shows that these models outperform many powerful closed and open weight models in this critical security task at a fraction of the cost. And that's going to be one of the big things. Why is it a fraction of the cost? Because it's 350 million to 1 billion parameter, right? And they're compact enough to run locally, heading off the need to send sensitive code bases to the cloud. So this is one of the things that we saw with Grok, right? Grok with XAI. XAI they think is going to be worth $1 gazillion. As of today, it's like $1.5 trillion. The stock keeps falling. But anyways, one of the things they found out about Grok is that people were using Grok in order to answer questions about their code base. And then what they found out is that Grok was uploading their entire code repository up onto a Google Cloud bucket. That was real. That was real. Can you imagine? You're just sitting there, you're trying to find a little problem in your code, and then you find out that Grok uploaded all of your code, not just all the file. It's not like, oh, you're analyzing one file, so it uploaded that file. Maybe that makes sense. No, it uploaded the entire code base up onto Google Cloud. And so that's the cool thing about this, right? By having that really small model, you are then able to have security, right? That's the issue. When you have these frontier models, right? When you're talking about trillion parameter models, you're not going to be able to run it on your computer, right? Again, 120 billion parameter model runs on a MacBook 5 with 128 gigs of RAM, and you get about 70 tokens per second, which is slow. I mean, like, it's kind of slow. So realistically, even the frontier models, even if they're open source, you're probably not going to be able to run on your system, which means you are going to be beholden to cloud providers, even if it's open source. So the cool thing about this is so small, it can actually run on your local systems. And with 350 million to a billion parameters, you don't need an M5 MacBook Pro to run the damn thing. Really, a 350 million parameter model can damn near run on a Raspberry Pi. I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, it would be slow. But you could. But the important thing to understand is you could run this thing on a Raspberry Pi. Oh, let's see here. By combining open-weight models with Antares, open specifications with Foundry Security Spec, a secure coding guidance with CodeGuard, and a new benchmark, we are working to define types of practical, trustworthy AI tools that will help cybersecurity professionals do their job better, as well as cultivating an ecosystem and standards for further enterprise adoption of AI security tools. Small models for a costly and sensitive security workflow. Software security depends on connecting external vulnerability knowledge like public databases, advisories, and CWEs to internal code. So that's one of the things they're doing here. Additionally, organizations need security tooling that is not only capable, but practical to deploy. And this is one of the big things with AI going on right now, is the whole thing, is it actually practical to deploy this thing? Anything from a technical standpoint to just a cost standpoint. Antares is purpose-built to address both of these problems. Antares follows an iterative search pattern that resembles how a human investigator works through a repository. Each model starts with a vulnerability description, searches for relevant code patterns, reads candidate files, incorporates new evidence, changes direction when a path is unhelpful, and then narrows toward the files most likely to matter. The goal is not to replace expert judgment, but rather to help make the first stages of source code vulnerability triage faster, more repeatable, and easier to review. In practice, Antares can support workflows such as locating files related to a CWE category in a repository snapshot, triaging advisory-driven security investigations, augmenting static analysis with model-driven repository exploration, supporting CI/CD triage workflows where a likely vulnerable files need early review, enabling local security analysis environments with strict privacy or compliance requirements. Antares outputs a ranked list of source files likely to contain a relevant vulnerability, along with the terminal exploration trace that led to that result. And this is the cool concept with how artificial intelligence should actually be done. This is a tool that supports you so that you can do your job better. This, in no way, shape, or form, is going to replace the engineers in a SOC, right? This is simply a tool to help flag things. It's going to go through based on advisories, external knowledge bases, that type of thing. It's going to go through, it's going to look through all the code, it's going to find where there might be problems, and then it's going to give you a prioritized list of the problems it's found, along with a trace, basically along with an explanation of why this is a problem, so you can plug this into your work order system, I guess Jira's and whatever, right? You can plug it in the work order system, and then you can just go through and plug away and fix the fucking holes. This is awesome. This is how technology should be, in a sane world. If it wasn't 2026. I'm almost surprised that Cisco is deploying this in 2026, because it seems like the anti-2026. It seems like everything that 2026 isn't supposed to be, right? It is a product that solves an actual problem in a reasonable way that makes a hell of a lot of sense, right? It makes the world a better place. Makes it more interesting and fun to be a geek. I mean, can you imagine if Dario or Sam Altman actually looked at artificial intelligence the way that Cisco did? this would be a much happier time period in the tech industry, let me tell you. So anyways, this is what's going on with Cisco. I think that's about it for that. Again, it is actually a very interesting blog post. You should read it. Introducing Antares. Go through, take a look at it, start playing with it with your code base. Again, distrust, verify, stay suspicious. Poor little Isaac Pound. I was being interviewed on Monday, and he was like, well, how do you ever trust AI? Well, you don't trust any of this shit. You don't trust OpenAI. You don't trust Anthropic. You don't trust Cisco. You don't fucking trust anything. So I'm not saying to trust Antares, but it does actually look like a tool that solves a problem that happens to have been created with a fucking neural network in order to do this training. So anyways, look at it. Smile. It's like, wow, it's cool technology. And now look at the view count. Now look below my smiley face and look what the view count is. And I'm sure it's like 5, because nobody cares. Nobody cares about cool shit. They just want to complain. It's not my fault. It's not my fault you like to look at my brain nipples. I sit here, I shake my brain nipples, and then I get so many pissed off viewers like, oh my God, I can't believe you forced me to watch your brain nipples. It's like, bitch, I didn't force you to do anything. I was shaking my brain nipples. You sat there for half an hour watching the brain nipples. I'm not the one with the problem. I understand what I am doing. I fully grasp what I'm doing. My soul dies a little bit every single day with the knowledge of what I'm doing, but I'm doing it for a paycheck. Anyways, so what do you think about this? And again, think about this with like Cisco. Like think of it, like this is the interesting thing, right? So much of the oxygen in the room for AI is OpenAI and Anthropic and Chinese models and all that kind of thing. What I find to be interesting and what I'm actually excited about is the technology companies that are not front runners in the AI space, right? Like last year I was talking so much about IBM. So IBM was really pushing the small language models. There's something called the Granite model, Granite 4, phenomenal series of models. That was a great thing. So I was really excited about IBM's models, right? And you almost never hear about IBM, right? Again, Cisco here. Did you know Cisco is putting out models? This is really cool. Like is it interesting to think that the real people that are going to be pushing the actual ball forward for real artificial intelligence in real implementations are not going to be the companies we hear about every day? I don't know. I think that's also one of the things to be thinking about, again, in the real world of technology. So what do you think about Antares? What do you think about Cisco getting into the LLM space? What do you think about an AI product that, solves a problem? Are we allowed to have that in 2026? Hey, you mean it solves a problem at a reasonable price point? Bring that shit back in 2020. 2027, we can deal with that. It's just not the year. This is not the year for it. What do you think about that? I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. If you like these episodes, do remember they're on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Link is down below. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn, there's a link down there too. With that, see y'all later.